to divide up the standings. Last time it went the way of J-Team, and with a few cheeky picks this time with a different lineup, let's see if they can get the dub again.
One thing I want to bring attention to straight away is that Minji's gone for the first strike, which I think is... I want to say, I don't think you're going to get to proc it a whole lot this game. When you're against the Katsu and the Zeri, it's very rare that you're going to be the one hitting first. And I think Conqueror probably would be the better choice. Perhaps saying, though, that, you know, there's no chance I beat Cassio in any sort of extended fight. Just wants to go for the burst instead. Also, Tide picks up the Ghost, which is very nice. Doesn't go for the cleanse up against the Sejuani. I feel like just relying instead on the Mikhails coming through.
Yeah, Ghost and Flash really suggest to me that you want to be a teamfight demon, right? You don't even care about heal, don't want exhaust. It's all about just locking down as many people as possible, keeping that ultimate, your Lightning Crash, active for as long as it can be as well. I'm really excited about this top lane matchup in particular. The Jax came out very early, given it was a blind Fiora, so a lot of confidence from Long and from the team as well to say that you can lock that one in straight away. And he showcased that he can play the teamfight Fiora, but he's very at ease also going into the whole Breaker too.
Taco with a really interesting path. He starts the Raptors solo and then just invades straight into the enemy jungle. And I think Lava will have no idea about this happening, right? Like, there was no wards. And Lava's actually about to be spotted out on this Raptor ward as well. And I think if he doesn't enter his top side in time here, he's going to be extremely far behind as Taco takes away his blue and his Grom.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really good ward to give you even more confidence that you can guarantee this one is going to be taken with no consequence as a result, right? So with the Gromp blue being denied, you go back to your side of the jungle. And a Viego that wants to be farm heavy, going to be very happy.
Yeah, what a nice win for Taco there, especially because it was all in the 1v1, right? His laners didn't have to invest anything for him there. And Lava's going to be left wondering, you know, how did this happen? And where do you look after this? Because you have to kind of look for some sort of gank, I feel like, with your camps down, but no lane is really gankable at this point.
No, I mean, now the grand reveal comes out, hang on a minute, where is my blue buff? So do I just feel relegated to go for an invade? Because as you say, the lane states don't seem too desirable. Can I try and deny away a red buff perhaps? But, you know, that's just been taken by Taco. You go topside and maybe all you'll find is the Krugs. And even then, you're still not too content. You're just lost.
Yeah, poor Lava. He's just checking camp after camp and finding them gone. Where can he look, though? I mean, maybe just cross back to bot side. It's really difficult, though. I feel like when this happens, if it's a trade and you're aware of it, it's easily recoverable. But when it's a surprise, it's a really rough start, I think.
So let's see what he does. Obviously, he's been communicated to his mid laner that I'm going to go for an invade here because we know that Taco's top side has just been cleared. He's been able to drag up Bruce and N, so he found priority in bot lane as well to at least ensure that the Scuttler goes their way. But you're going to have to try and force yourself into the enemy blue, and even then, that's been denied too.
Yeah, although Lava, he does have a lot of bot priorities, so perhaps could look for something. But without red buff and down a level, I have to feel like he is going to be the one eventually forced away. Still looking for something, though. It looks like he will slowly return to the jungle. Something I want to talk about actually is the Heimerdinger, because I feel like it's been played a few times and it's never really found a lot of success. Actually, pretty heavy trades coming out on the top side. So what are your opinions on the Heimer? Because I feel like often it works really well into the melees, right? Like if you pick it into something like a Nautilus, you can very easily just disengage, make their life very difficult.
Yeah, it's looked the best for me when I've seen it into a Nautilus especially, right? Because the turret goes down, you iframe it perfectly with the hook, and the Nautilus absolutely hates the life, especially running the Glacial Augment build. In terms of the enchanters, though, it doesn't feel anywhere near as strong, I would say, as Taco is the one on the receiving end, flashing away. Passive! What a flash from Long! Completely denies that one, but it doesn't matter because Lava dies to an empowered turret. Taco comes in and also cleans up too. You pay them credit, but it backfires beautifully.
It does. I think Lava perhaps feeling a little desperate just to force something to happen, and it really blows up in their face. I think, you know, the kill on the Jax is one thing, but I think a kill going over to Taco's Viego is a champion that can very easily snowball out of control and already finds himself at a massive lead in the jungle. Let's take a look at this. I feel like maybe could have been executed a little better. I think Long goes a bit too early. You know, taking that tower shot instead of Lava just being the one that can tank up for a bit longer, I feel like is not the best. And then, yeah, perhaps slightly mis-executed at the very back end of it.
both just dying to turret shots ultimately, right? Enough time was spent there where it is fully charged up and hitting very, very hard, and you can only be happy as the side of Hellpigs, right? That both your Jax and Viego are the ones to profit from that.
Trading continues in the top lane, and I think the fact that Long isn't the one that picks up a kill there is kind of worrying for him, right? Lava does get himself back into the game with that kill, but you know, a top lane matchup that you've picked like this, it's always going to be extremely volatile, and I think perhaps it still goes in the way of Fiora, right? Like it is just the Sheen longsword matched, but it's, you know, perhaps you could be starting to build yourself a lead here. Instead, Taco on the Jax buys himself more time for his team to win him the game.
It certainly does, and it's a good position for the Hellpigs to be in right now. But despite those heroics with the kill advantages, it is still actually J-Team with a very minute goal lead to talk about. So they've certainly found themselves some advantages with a very sizable CS lead, especially in the bot lane, much in part to the Xayah and a Heimerdinger combo. Question though becomes, what happens when it comes to these objectives? Because it's going to be Lalva that starts things up.
Yeah, perhaps will be first dragon picked up by J-Team. Hellpigs, though, I think perhaps fine to give this one over, right? Like, they've got a lot of scaling, don't need to worry about contesting anything too early in the game. Instead, you can perhaps play for another repeat top gank or even a Herald. And worth noting is that Long actually moved across the whole map for that, which is really weird. You don't often see top laners committing so much, especially to such an early drag. I feel like it's not really worth it.
Yeah, I mean, the saving grace will be he'll be back to lane in time, right, to collect this massive wave that's going to crash in, but it does give free passage for Targo to walk in and basically say, my path started with invading your blue buff, you've got to be locked underneath this turret right now, Targo can protect me, and we can take away another one. Yeah,
definitely good in the short term for Hellpigs, although the dragon going away perhaps isn't the best. Now, direct your eyes to the gold lane, because that's actually in J-Team's favor, and you're perhaps wondering where. Look at the bot lane CS. I mean, massive CS lead in the 2v2, which is, you know, sort of, I feel like it shouldn't be that big. Obviously, Heimerdinger Xayah a bit stronger in lane than the Zeri Lulu, but still, I mean, massive lead.
You have to wonder really how it's ballooned to that level, right? Maybe some poor trades have gone against them. Stun passive connects there on towards Taco, but then that's reciprocated completely with a petrifying gaze. And Lava's life goes from bad to worse.
I was literally just thinking bad to worse in my head. I mean, that's such a rough spot there. I mean, you don't have the flash to get out. The kill goes over to the enemy jungler as well. Taco will pick up both the Herald and that kill there. Puts himself in such an amazing position. And I think Herald honestly could probably just go towards bot lane, try and get your Zeri Lulu out of what is looking to be a very tough matchup for them, and start equalizing that gold up.
Certainly can. And a Viego that's this far ahead this early on is very happy about their chances, right? It's a bit of a gamble when you take these carry junglers, right? But if it pays off in the first 10 minutes, you're certainly very content with your chances in this one. Lava also opting for the Sunfire build. We've certainly seen a few of those. Deviating away from the classic norm for such a long time now of the Radiant Virtue Rush. So wants to be as tanky and really as relevant as possible, but you can see why, I guess, Bruce is so far ahead. I mean, these feathers are relentless combined with the rockets too.
Yeah, perhaps we are seeing the Heimerdinger finally kind of come to fruition in the PCS. They've actually taken 3 plates purely in the 2v2, as well as having that massive CS lead. Actually, heavy trading coming out top. Long, I think he could perhaps go for this.
Yeah, he certainly can. He's just having to bait at the Counter-Strike right now, and that's expired, so it means he's hunting for those vitals. One more attack, but he realizes that Taco is here. Just out of reach of that stun. Falls right back to his turret, and thankfully for Taco, he can reset back to base.
It's very, very close, and I think if Long had gone any further, actually would have found himself going down there. Has to be careful, though. I feel like Taco actually could perhaps deny him off this wave. Although with the W up, yeah, will he actually look back to it? I feel like if Long ever uses W, he's just going to die. But if he can hold it...
Well, I was curious to see if he would decide to go for that fight and take the gamble as to can you riposte in time, but it seems fairly predictable with the animation wind-up, right? Still looking for the Heartbreaker. Instead, doesn't want to give anything up for chance. He's got a massive lead. Back to base he goes, sitting on a ton of gold at just that, and picks up a Divine Sundra at only 10 minutes in.
And that bot tower is almost dead, purely in the 2v2, so... It must be a huge gold lead here for Bruce, and perhaps a 4-man dive from J-Team could bring them back into this game. Taco, he's spotted out. The chain does not connect.
And this is almost that funny conversation that we had before, right? As to, you know, if you have a struggling team, what role do you prefer? Do you prefer the fed AD carry or the fed jungler, right? And right now it feels like that is the complete package. The narrative is built around them. What can the Viego do to try and make sure the rest of his team is in a point of happiness, I guess, right? Or can Bruce literally look to try and 1v9 from the very get-go?
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting. I mean, that is a monstrous bot lane lead, right? 40 CS and like 4 plates purely in the 2v2. That's insane, especially because J-Team dropped their bot lane, right? Like Helpig's actually invested bans to make sure they couldn't get what they wanted, but they still come away with this massive lead. Now, we have seen Zerululu scale, you know, absurdly well so many times. J-Team, they're actually going to be spotted out here. Ooh, I feel like if that hook connected, or the chain connected, they actually would have been in trouble.
Yeah.
Sometimes you hope they don't hit. Getting a little bit of a trade here, trying to get aggressive, but with lava in the river is going to be difficult. Second dragon will spawn here in only 20 more seconds. And I think any fight currently probably goes the way of Helpig as long as Taco's in it. Obviously, Bruce has a lot of gold, but hasn't yet picked up the Mythic. It looks like this will be heralded onto the mid tower.
Oh, and it still once again so volatile in the top lane. Flash! And a stun on his head. And Long is denied the perfect execution. And now Jax wins out again.
It's been so close so many times for Long, but can't quite manage to get the kill. And now that's such a massive lead here, I feel like, for Taco. He gets plates, he gets the kill, he's going to get a nice reset. And in a matchup like that, if you can pick up your Divine Sunder before your opponent, it almost completely changes the matchup, right? The item is just that strong. Dragon, it's been looked at. Can be started up though, I mean Tide, he actually cancels his base, so perhaps at least want to contest it, if not started up.
Yeah, maybe Hillpigs really want to try and force this, right, given the fact that Taka could TP down to the bot turret if need be, and the fact, as you already mentioned, Bruce doesn't have those items sitting on a ton of gold in his bags, so they do actually decide to shy away from this one. It just feels like a bit of a dance around this as to who takes the gamble first more than anyone. No one's really willing to make that risk.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to start up. I think both teams can very easily punish. I think on the side of Hellpigs, you're actually pretty happy just with it being delayed, but junglers actually find each other in the river. Taco, he has a stack Conqueror, perhaps doesn't feel safe chasing. But I think, yeah, Hellpig, if you can continue to kind of deny this dragon from really being picked up, you slow down the game, which I think is amazing for their comp. And J-Team's comp, I mean, it scales fine, especially with how ahead Bruce is. But I don't think it's quite as good. Lava re-entering the river. Will be spotted out on the ward again. So if he starts up this drag, which I think he's looking to. Oh, and Taco's actually ahead enough that he could just take away another blue.
J-Team have just not had a single blue buff this entire game. Hey, it's been so rough. In we go though. Viego actually buffering the ultimate beautifully away despite receiving the Glacial Prison. Is away with it. That's not going to deter J-Team from continuing their attempt to take down this first dragon. 4 members strong. They've got the damage, it seems. And Hellpigs can do nothing but just watch.
It will end up being picked up. I think Hellpigs still did a pretty good job of delaying that as long as they could. It still will be, you know, a pretty early third dragon though. So eventually they're going to be forced to fight this. And if that's before the point the Tide is strong enough to actually team fight, it could be rough, right? And we've seen Tide have great team fights, but down 50 CS in the 2v2, can you even hit your items in time? I'm not sure.
No, I'm not sure either. It feels pretty uphill battle at this point right now. Those mythic items need to start coming on through, and Long is going to be able to at least match now the Jax Divine Sunder with one of his own, but it feels like we're going to be seeing the biggest shopping spree happen here for the bot lane of J-Team as the tower finally falls on down. They achieved the only plates from the bot lane as well, it's worth noting. So it's time to shop.
Looks like the Herald will be picked up, but what I'm really interested in seeing is the ADC gold difference, because it must be absurd at this point, right? 50 CS, a tower, and 5 plates taken in the 2v2. That's an absurd amount of gold.
I mean, just look what they've purchased as a result, right? There's the Warhammer with the Gale Force and a completed Rylai's right at the gates. So, I mean, wherever this bot lane goes now, they certainly ask the question of, you know, come challenge us because we're exceptionally strong. You'd imagine that would just get planted in mid lane and look to try and find a second bit of siege. And it almost feels like they're playing a Zarya comp as if it's Caitlyn.
Then I think Tide not having a mythic at 1530, I mean, that's really starting to be worrying, right? Your top side is very strong. Taco perhaps still looking for something here. But the fact that you're going to have to contest this third dragon so early into the game, and your Zeri at best has one item at that point, it's not inspiring confidence.
No, but what it is worth noting is that this game is still on an absolute knife's edge. The gold is dead even between these two, although there are very different points of strength. And J-Team at least have had 2 dragons to their name as well, so they've got a soul point to look forward to potentially. It just means wherever this AD carry goes, you would like the Taco twins to really be there to try and shut them down.
Yeah, I think if you're... Okay, yeah, taking a look at the player gold, Tide 4.8 to Bruce 6.5. So, what is that, 1,800 gold just purely from the 2v2. And don't forget as well that the support's relevant in this matchup, right? Up 800 gold in the support role as well. So that bot lane combined, actually massive lead. But Taco on the Jax also up 1.8k. Feeling very, very good about his lead.
Certainly is. So let's see what Hellpigs can do with this, because they still do have that kill advantage, right? It's only been 1 single kill going the way of Lauva, having dived for it. That wasn't a top lane at the very start of this game. Maybe we are just going to be cool, calm, collected, look to try and stay to our lane and very much wait for that next dragon, which is 2 minutes away. Might be when Hellpigs decide to group up as 5. That would actually work out quite nicely there for Taco's Jax as well, as his TP will be up and available once again.
Okay, yeah, 2 more minutes. I feel like at the moment, you're just trying to make sure you kind of complete any last items you can before what is going to be a very important dragon fight. Zeri does pick up her shield bow. And I mean, I think with the Lulu, you actually do spike hard enough at that one item that you can fight on these items and not feel awful about it. At the same time, though, you have to feel like Bruce is going to have a lot more impact in any of these fights right now. But only a minute 30 away, and I feel like Hellpigs do have to contest, right? It's the 3rd dragon, and only, what, it's going to be like closer to 19 minutes here.
And just look how long Taco's waited. Oh my god, he's dashed away. So much time lost camping bot lane, hoping that he'd be interested in having a cheeky trade there with Hong 2. It just wasn't to be. Praying a fight would break out. Praying they'd find a kill, didn't summon the Herald to get a turret.
Okay, so it looks like J-Teams, they're the ones that have the control over this area now. 50 seconds away. If they can get this 3rd dragon, it would mean so much for their composition. Hellpigs, though, you have to feel like they want to contest, and their top side is so strong. I think if Long comes to a team fight right now, he's going to be so much weaker than Taco.
Huge stun, huge follow-up, even better kill. Look at that. From start to finish, it was immaculate there from J-Team to remove Tide.
It is, and I think off that, they should secure the 3rd dragon. TP comes in. Perhaps Hellpigs still want to contest or could just be protecting this tower, but that's a huge win, I feel like, for J-Team. Getting this 3rd dragon puts that permanent soul point pressure on the scaling team of Hellpigs, and that death, I feel like, from Tide, it's really avoidable and somewhat unforgivable.
Yeah, it feels really punishing, as you say, and committing the TP through to the mid lane there is suggesting that, yeah, we do not want to lose this time. We don't want to lose both. We're sort of willing to accept that there will be a loss at least in one area. Another blue buff being lost, right? The top side of the jungle just does not exist. 4 in a row now having been stolen away, and the Herald, just before it's about to expire, is relegated to the mid lane. Quite good timing, right? Now that the dragon has spawned, so maybe Hellpigs can find something off this.
Yeah, I'm surprised Dragon actually wasn't started up at all. Perhaps couldn't find the time. Ooh, Herald actually doesn't get the charge, but okay. Tide actually gets back in time, which means Dragon's back on the menu. I'm not sure why J-Team couldn't find the ability to start it. Perhaps felt like top lane was just too weak, but I think that Hellpigs kind of get away with murder here, the fact that they're going to be able to pick up this drag.
Yeah, seemingly is the case. As right now, Lava is taking his red buff, and the damage is, yeah, it's high enough for sure to take this one down. So J-Team aren't going to give this one up without a contest elsewhere. That's forcing the TP out from Taco to respond to Long, who just wanted some solo experience, wanted a chance to try and catch up, as he has been fairly neutered in these first 20 minutes.
Now, trying to siege onto this mid tower is J-Team. Looks like it should probably go down. It does. So J-Team, I mean, they use giving over the dragon to kind of secure themselves a bit of gold in that mid and top. I feel like the dragon is just worth so much more, and I would even have probably liked to see Long, despite being behind, you know, fight for that dragon. I feel like it's just that important, especially after you get that pick onto Tide. But ultimately, they give it over, and I think it's a huge mistake. Now, your Dragon win condition, it's kind of gone to the wayside.
Yeah, it feels rough. It really does. You had an option, having found that peck. Yes, sure, you need another 20 seconds before it was going to spawn, but to allow them the invitation back in to take that one off you feels certainly unforgiving. But Hellpigs did invest TPs into it, right, to guarantee that at least the turret wouldn't fall down. They wanted to showcase that they had a strong resilience on their defense. And they've certainly bought themselves enough time now that 2 items are starting to come across for the majority of their major threats, right? You know, you've got the Rod of Ages with the completed Seraph's Embrace there too. And Hong2, the specialist of these late game carries, despite being 0-0-1, is well prepped now to start to really shine.
Yeah, I mean, up a massive amount of CS here for Bruce. Like you said, has the 2 items completed and is certainly ready to fight. I think we probably won't see too much action for a while, but the next fight could definitely lead to a Baron. Both teams have great DPS. J-Team trying to take a little bit of this topside control back, allow Long to push up in that side lane. And I think both teams destroy Baron once again, like actually melt it. There's just so much DPS coming through. So if you win a fight, even, you know, being like a 1-0 or a 2-0, you can definitely look to just start up the Baron, force the other team to come and contest you, and then look to fight again off that. 3 more minutes on the next drag. So kind of going to be, I feel like, in a bit of a lull period. But J-Team, you know, Lava finding his way back into this game is now controlling this vision, trying to let Long push up, although it is difficult, down pretty significant items. But if they can commit enough numbers, especially with their mid priority, they could maybe drop this top tower.
Yeah, as they're putting a lot of attention into this top lane right now, making sure that Taco, despite being so far ahead of Long's Fiora, isn't going to get a free pass to continue to share that same fate. Elsewhere, though, it was Minji just free farming in the mid lane. That has to now be responded back to, and it's this big attempt to clear out vision very deep from J-Team to make sure that we can actually maybe have a crack at this Baron and force a face check.
Yeah, Taco, he's trying to regain some of his vision here. Very deadly to face check. They don't really have a dedicated member other than Taco who can face check bushes. But obviously, you know, he's kind of stuck in the side lane right now. Doesn't get the opportunity to leave. And Long finally picks up that tier 1 top tower. But is significantly behind in items compared to the Jack. So still has a hard time actually getting priority in the 1v1. Has mainly been using the fact that Bruce and Enzo are so strong in that mid wave. Can just lean to any side of the map at any time.
Yeah. And it's stayed that way from the very get-go, hasn't it, right? That there has been that sort of lopsided affair as to who is really the strongest point on either side. Some important item spikes have started to come across, though. You've seen now that the Mikhails is there for ICA. You said it was going to be a major component, right, given the fact that Tide is running the double mobility, Flash and Ghost. So certainly with a little bit more farm under their belt, the Mikhails could have a huge, huge impact. But, I mean, we cannot discredit the fact that still Bruce is up by such a large margin.
He really is. I mean, he has such a massive gold lead, but at least now the items are sort of matched, right? We've got 2 items coming in here for Tide. Will not be the lifesteal build. So perhaps saying, okay, there's not really any poke. I'll be fine just with the Lulu and PD for the extra damage. Hong2 completes the Rylai, so 3 items in time for this Dragon is really good and doesn't need a Void as well. No magic resist really coming through, which is nice, right? If you're playing that solo AP, Cassio is much easier to itemize than when I think before, you know, Cassio was kind of forced into buying a Void super early, which never feels good. But 30 seconds away on this Dragon, both teams really fiending for this one. There's also potential for a Dragon or a Baron trade, given how fast people do it. Taco takes a lot of damage there.
It's just interesting to me, the fact that both these teams have at the best of times into more aggressive team fight oriented teams been, you know, at the receiving end of poor results, right? And that, you know, right now we're seeing either side very unwilling to entertain the idea of a fight unless there is an objective. I mean, it's been isolated kills, but that was during laning phase. But outside of that, it's been very much like, you know, you wait 5 minutes for this Dragon and then we go.
Dragon is started up by Hellpigs. J-Team, they definitely want to contest. It's getting very, very low.
Marco on a blast cone, jumps in extended range, lightning crash pop, flash from Minji! He says it's time to shine, there's a hijack petrifying gaze, and you're stunned and CC'd for far too long. Now the Viego on the flank, the Dragon has reset. J-Team will not get a chance to try and play for that soul point anytime soon, but Lalva is gone, so J-Team don't have a smite.
Yeah, Hellpigs, I think they can commit to this one. But J-Team, I mean, they still have the health bars. TP's coming in, surely J-Team back away from this one now. I mean, they still kind of want it. Yeah, they're bringing members. They really want to fight this.
Diego's not there. He's wrapping around. Taco jumps in, followed up by the second. And that's a lot of CC, a lot of damage onto Long. Dead for 48 seconds. They found their chance to shine. And a flash away would deny the Featherstorm rip back from rooting anybody.
And finally, looks like this Dragon will be picked up. I'm surprised that J-Team kind of stuck around once Hellpigs kind of committed that top lane TP. But yeah, they committed to it. Have a look at the damage. I mean, the fight went on for so long. There's just so much damage was put out. And critically, look at the ADCs, right? Tide still struggling to really find damage in this fight. But the top side being so strong kind of doesn't matter. And I think Minji as well, he found a really nice engage to begin that, but was ultimately not enough. And the gold all tied up now. And enough damage done on both sides that no Baron was looked at. But pings are actually on the Baron now.
Yeah. The gold difference graph is going to look so strange at the end of this game. It's just going to feel like a flat line. Because it really has been dead even for such a long time now. We're just waiting for that major moment, but it's yet to really happen.
To keep your eyes on Minji here, I feel like he finds a really good Cassio flash ult with the stolen Cass ult, onto both the carries, which is a really good start, right? It is matched, though, by another ult that comes out. I mean, Ty just instantly goes down. And I think Taco buys so much time in this fight, as well as Hong 2 now can just kind of freely DPS and hold that thought, because we have another fight breaking out.
Looks to be just a case of popping your head into the enemy jungle there, seeing if anything could happen. But there have been some pings for this Baron, but I think once again, teams are very reluctant to face check that one. Maybe now they found their target in the Jax, but a little bit too tanky for the meantime. Tide saying, Bruce, you've given me a hard time in lane. Actually pops his ultimate for it. That's going to be down now for a big team fight if it were to happen.
And mid tower being sieged, Hellpigs, I think they have the angle on it, but perhaps don't have their creep wave big enough and are forced to walk away. In the meantime, Long is starting to push down that side wave. And Taka will go to it. Has built the Wit's End, so not directly itemized for the Fiora. You have to feel he's still strong enough to keep these towers up, though.
Yeah, despite the 0-3 scoreline, I think Long's doing a great job of just forcing his team to, invade, be strong as a four-man, and say that, let's keep Hellpigs entertained. Targeting feels forced to drag himself into the mix of things because he has been a very relevant factor in that. And I guess that is a bit of a headache for them, right? The fact that, your Jax has to deal with two major threats. Are we going to get split push and lose to an 0-3 Fiora, or do I need to be there to actually do the top damage in these team fights?
And Baron is started up here from J-Team, and it does go down pretty quick, right? They have a lot of DPS for it. I feel like Hellpigs will be forced to answer. And gee, he's trying to look for something. Baron is still being DPS. It's down to 6k. There's a pink ward on it, so everyone knows. TP comes in from Long.
Yeah, this means they want to try and commit for sure. They're looking at it. Minji still once again with a hijacked miasma, or rather the petrifying gaze. Looking for it, lands it onto one. The others two face away. The Baron, it's still there, but it's reset back to 50%. Taco in trouble. He's getting low from the spit. Baron damage might just die to that alone. Long, to try and take a 1v1, but flashing away from the riposte. Gonna still live. Wild growth is enough. And then Bruce gets preyed upon by four members in his face, and with a Featherstorm already burnt, is dead in the water.
Bruce, he does what he can, does almost 5,000 damage in that fight, but it really just isn't enough. The other members on his team, the top side just falling apart, and now the Baron picked up for Hellpigs. I think they have the better scaling comp, and now feel like it should be their game to win.
What a performance right there. I mean, the hard force there from J-Team to take a moment to TP in to say we want this one, but the turn, unable to find the picks that they need. Bruce tries as he might. He's doing so much into Tide, but it's just not enough.
Yeah, it feels bad. I mean, if you're J-Team's bot lane here, you've got such a big lead. You're playing the team fight so much better. But unfortunately, the Hellpigs topside just kind of gapping yours at the moment. But let's take a look at the replay. So the Baron gets very, very low. And Minji, I mean, he looks for something, but I think pay attention to Taco's Jax, who's going to come from the bot side here. He has just a really good angle at the start of this fight and just buys so much time during the fight for his team to continue to DPS, right? Like his backline, especially with Hong 2 and the Cassio, does so much DPS that if Taco can just waste their time, he's kind of winning, right? A lot of Bruce's damage goes into him, which doesn't end up mattering, and it comes down to the wire here at the end. It's actually the Seraph shield that is going to save Hong 2 here, and the Lulu ult as well is enough. And then, yeah, they've got the Baron DPS. They kill it in no time.
They certainly do. Frustration, I guess, really, for an AD carry. Their worst nightmare is those bruises that can just jump upon them and take no damage in the process. And it really has continued to be that story from the very get-go, where it has been a lopsided matchup of who is the strongest one, and forcing Long to group up with the rest of the team. Hasn't really paid off. 0-4 now, but Hellpigs do have that Baron, and maybe now starting to create a bit of a divide for the goal difference. Up by 5k. Another dragon to look at, 2 apiece. Fight is going to break out here in the mid lane to try and get a numbers advantage going into that one. Minji looking for the moment to try and strike there, but no team to back him up. Long dead again on the side, losing to Taco, his arch nemesis at this point. A fadeaway Glacial Prison that hits absolutely nothing. And the feathers go up, the feathers come down, a flash gale falls away, but he's dead anyway. Unstoppable now is the Jax. Finding 2, and I think now, Shock, I think now for sure, this is Hellpigs showcasing that they are just a better team.
Yeah, and they have Baron waves. I wonder, can they go for the end? I'm not sure. They can definitely take inhibs. Whether or not they play for the end, I feel like they can't. But you can at least get 1 inhib off this. There are pings on the Nexus towers, but I feel like the fact that Taco's committing to the drag kind of says that maybe they can't clean it up. Although, you know, never say never. Enso's still alive. I think he can defend, but still massive win for Hellpigs, right? Like, you're up so much gold now. You've got 3 dragons. And look at how much work Taco did in that team fight. I mean, 6,200 damage as the Jax. This is meant to be a split pusher, but it's just it's a great team fighter as well.
Yeah, the champion's a little bit too good right now. Does it all. And yeah, that rework has completely helped him, hasn't it? Really brought him back into the fold of things. The fact that you can just pick it blindly or pick it as a response and be the jack of all trades.
Here's the Zhonya's now as well. I picked up after that fight. Let's have a look. So Long at the start, I mean, he kind of just gets, I want to say, poked out for pretty much no reason, right? He's forced to flash early and then Taco can clean him up. Minji gets another good castle, but I mean, just look on the side, right? Taco's so strong, 1v1s him, and it's not even close. And then after that, the J team members just slowly chase down in the jungle. Taco, once again, the man on your screen, actually got blast coned into an even better position, and then you can just come through and clean them all up. And the fact that deals 6,000 damage and still ends with enough HP to actually just go and do a bunch after, I mean, really speaks to just how far ahead he is.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, this is your best case scenario. There is that gold difference finally. Look how close it was for the first 25 minutes. Really, a K at most was ever there as a divider between these two teams. But after those last few fights, especially that Baron contest, it really has given the invitation into Hellpigs to, yeah, take the win.
And I wonder, can anything more happen here for the next couple of minutes? It's 2 minutes away from Baron, 3 minutes away from the Dragon Soul here for Hellpigs. I think if you want to play it slow, you just play for those. At the same time, though, you're so strong that any fight you can force certainly goes in your favor. Perhaps can play for this top tier 2 at least before those neutral objectives come up, and just secure yourself a bit more control over that topside jungle. He is getting slowly sieged down. Taco, he's looking for something. And they've also got Taco on the Jax pushing up that mid wave. Can they go for anything more here? I kind of don't think so. I think resets come through, play to just start this Baron on spawn and then use that really to end the game. And J-Team, you are going to be forced to leave your base here. I think if you give up both the Dragon and the Baron, you're going to be in an unwinnable position. And perhaps already are.
Yeah, it's a full commit here for Long. Having gone for the death stance now as a third position, or a third item rather. He's all in on the idea that we need to group up. I'm not strong enough to try and split push anymore. Maybe the threat of me even being a split pusher has completely diminished. I think Jax right now can really do whatever he likes. And they have the ability to certainly close this one out with a bang. That might be what we're gearing up for right now. 30 seconds and the next Baron spawn is among us. With all the lanes pushed against them, J-Team are going to have to really conjure some magic to find a flip here.
15 seconds now on the Baron, and this team, I mean, they can do it in record time, right? They got so much DPS. I think actually pay attention to when the Baron spawns and when it dies. I think Hellpigs can just start it up pretty much on spawn, force J-Team to come to them straight away. Spawns now, they're already on it. At 35-13 is when it spawned. Let's see when it drops. J-Team, they're trying to contest, perhaps can pull Hellpigs away from it.
Look at Taco's position though. They don't know he's there. Face check there from Long. He's going to jump into the back line. 3-man stun, but it doesn't matter. Featherstorm goes across. Bruce hits nothing with it. It was the wrong way. Stun goes across. Petrifying Gaze is absolutely huge. Bruce across the wall. Gale falls dashing, praying, hoping it does not matter. Tide gets revenge for a really rough laning phase, and Lava across the wall just burns on down. It's an ace, and a beautiful one at that, as they get the Baron. Or rather, they actually peel away from the Baron, but they're going to push for the victory.
They are, and I think you really see here, Hellpigs, not only do they have the scaling comp, but also just a massive gold lead. And I think, Taco on the Jax, Hong2 on the Casio did so much work in that team fight, and will ultimately bring them to the win.
That they certainly will. Another game with two teams tied in the standings, but another divider, another division of what Hellpigs can do. They beat the best teams, they lose to the worst teams, but on tonight, they've managed to break themselves apart and showcase that they are just a little bit better than what J-Team have to offer.
They are, and I think J-Team now, they moved to a pretty significant loss streak, right? And the playoff, kind of contention is really starting to slip away from them. Hellpigs potentially could still contest for the very edge of playoffs, but J-Team, time is really running out for them. What dance is that? Is that a certain champion? I'm not sure.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
I am curious. Very happy though, are Hellpigs right now. What a result, as you say. It's the battle of the win streaks. PSG have got a 6-win streak now. That's J-Team on a 5-loss streak. It feels really, really bad for them. And I think no more so than for Bruce, who really tried to put the team on his back. It was a strong bot lane that really gave it to a Zeri Lulu, which is arguably the best bot pairing you can get right now. Didn't seem phased by it, but by the fact that a very creative jungle path from the Viego denied what it felt like every single blue buff that the J-Team ever had. The Viego and the Jax were just able to take it over.
They were, and I think, J-Team questions sort of have to be raised around the top lane switch, right? Because I believe this was J-Team that actually picked up the win over Hellpigs last time, right? And it was actually in pretty, I want to say, dominant.